Hello and welcome to the Watford Way and your Bournemouth versus Watford match preview. But Finn, before we jump into Bournemouth versus Watford, I want to get your thoughts on Blackburn versus Watford. And yeah, what a game that was. Really entertaining, and ultimately Watford did come out of the win. What was your initial reaction to that game? Because we went ahead, then they scored, then we went ahead again, and it was quite nerve-wracking towards the end actually, and it did look really likely that Blackburn were going to get an equaliser. But how did you view the Blackburn game?
To be honest, after the game, I went and lay down in my bed, and I did not get up until this morning because we make it so hard for ourselves. It was a really good performance, but we make it too hard for ourselves. We had a good two goal leads. They were both really avoidable goals as well. Messina and Backman really should have both cleared the ball for the first goal, and then the second goal was just Wilmot just lost his man. It's two goals that I don't obviously I don't enjoy conceding any goals, but like it really gets under my skin when it scores like that. But other than that, yeah, I'm happy with 3 points. 3 goals away from home, 3 goal scorers. It's something we haven't seen much this season. So yeah, overall I'm happy.
Good, and I want to get your thoughts quickly before we move on to Bournemouth on one man in particular, and that is João Pedro. Now, João Pedro is in really good form at the moment, and one thing to note was from that game actually, the whole of the front three scored. So Semmer obviously scored, Pedro scored, and Sarr scored. So first of all, Finn, how good is it that the front three all scored and contributed to the game? And secondly, how good is João Pedro playing at the moment? And for you, is he undroppable at the moment from the team?
Yeah, I think he is. I don't think if you look at the other strikers we've got that are fit, I don't think Stipe Perica's quite fit yet. Isaac Success can't get 90 minutes for the under 23. So I think yeah, he is probably quite undroppable at the moment, and it's good to see. Like it's good to have a striker that you can't drop. You need someone. You need a red hot striker if you're going to get promoted. And another thing you mentioned about all three of the front three got being goal scorers against Blackburn was if we've really struggled from goals from open play this season. It's not a secret. So to have 3 different attacking players score, it's really good to see. And I think Ken Sam had a pretty quiet game against Blackburn, I thought, until he scored. So it's good to see, even if you don't have a good game, you still got on the goal, still getting the positions to score goals and still score the goals.
Yeah, absolutely, and yeah, I echo exactly what you said there. And look, another 3 points for Watford. That was 4 wins in a row. Can we make it 5 against Bournemouth? We'll have to wait and see. But we will move on to the Bournemouth game now, Finn. And yeah, we can make it 5 wins in a row against Bournemouth. It is another away game. Are you now looking at Bournemouth? Obviously, they've got a new manager in. They've had a really drastic drop of form from where they were at the start of the season, and they are now 7th in the table. They've lost their last 2 games. So looking at Bournemouth from a Watford perspective, Finn, are you looking at it as an opportunity to go at them and beat them while they're down, or are you looking at it thinking they've still got good players? They've got the likes of Jack Wilshere, Shane Long, Philip Billing, David Brooks. They've got really good players who were in the Premier League last season. So obviously, personally for me, that does concern me, the quality of player they do have. But what are your thoughts against the game? And should Watford, continue how we've been playing, lately against these sides?
I think yeah, we've got to continue playing how we've been playing because we've been playing really well. And yeah, I don't. Obviously, taking it literally, I look at a Bournemouth badge and I see red hot hatred towards them. But I think they have got good players and they know how to play football. They've got Jack Wilshere. He pocketed Javi and Iniesta in a game against Barcelona. So he's a very good player. And they have got players like Shane Long. They've got Philip Billing, like you mentioned. But David Brooks is injured, which is a positive for us. Yeah, like Will's just said, I don't think it will be easy, but I can see us getting 3 points. I think I've seen a lot of comments from Bournemouth fans because they're not very confident at the moment. They're not confident in their manager. I've seen them all. They were all moaning about his appointment because he's not. I think it's something like his second, maybe first or second job ever in managing. And I think they needed consistency. They can't drop into the trap that we're in, where we sack managers after a bad run of form. I just think it's a dangerous hole to go down, and I think, yeah,
Yeah, it's a funny one, Bournemouth, because looking at Bournemouth, obviously they did sack their manager, and when they were looking for managers, you know, the names being touted around for the job were quite big names. You had Patrick
yeah,
Vieira, Thierry Henry, and these are big names in the world of football. Obviously, they're not renowned for their managerial careers at the moment, but Thierry Henry, Patrick Vieira, they are big names to attract to the club. And I think from looking at what Bournemouth fans were saying is they were quite disappointed at the appointment they got, and they obviously played last night as well as we did, and they still played quite negative football. And I think what Bournemouth fans want is defensive solidity, and that's not something they've really had this season. So yeah, totally agree with you there, Finn. I'm just looking at a couple more comments here from Rudy saying, "Hi guys, hope you're doing well, Rudy." And Will with a question saying, "Would you keep Gosling in or put Chalobah back into the team?" Now, it was reported, Finn, that Nathaniel Chalobah was rested for the game against. God, my memory's left me. Who did we play last night? Blackburn. That's it, Blackburn. Nathaniel Chalobah was rested against Blackburn, but apparently he was actually ill for the game. So we're obviously not sure how serious that illness is, but he is on 9 yellow cards, Finn. And obviously, if he does get another booking, he will be suspended for 2 games. So as Will said there, do you put Dan Gosling in against his former club Bournemouth so we can prove to them kind of what they're missing, or do you put Nathaniel Chalobah back in, knowing how well he's been performing lately? And yeah, because those are both 2 good midfield options we've got. So who would you like to see in the centre of the park?
Chalobah without a doubt. I think Gosling's good, but he's definitely past it. You looked at that; he got the 60-minute mark yesterday, and he was blown out of his arse. Quite frankly, he's not the young whippersnapper he used to be. And I think, yeah, he will be hungry to show Bournemouth what they're missing, because I know he loved the club, and I think he felt not betrayed, but like disappointed that he was asked to leave. So I think, yeah, he'd want to show the club what they're missing, but at the end of the day, the club comes before his wants, doesn't it? Don't they? So yeah, I'd put Chalobah back in because I'd risk it if he's ill. If he's ill, you take him off and put Gosling on. So we've always got that option on the bench, and I'd like to see Dan Phillips as well on the bench, just in case we need that different style of midfielder. So yeah, I'd put Chalobah in.
And I think you mentioned the bench there and the depth of quality that we've got at the moment. And I think against Blackburn in particular, when I looked at the bench, the players we had on there, Rob Elliott, Lazar, Stipe Peritza. There's a lot of good players on there that we could bring on to make an impact. Andre Gray, even, obviously he's quite a controversial figure in the Watford fan base at the moment, but our bench against Blackburn was really, really strong. And I think we do need to utilise it a bit more, Finn. And I know we've discussed it before on the channel about Xisco and his lack of faith, it seems, with the bench, and his lack of willing to rotate the squad. Is this something again that Xisco needs to look at for the Bournemouth game? Bring in a Ngakia, bring in a Zinkernagel, maybe even bring in a Peritza, or as you said earlier, is João Pedro, in too good form right now to drop him? What's your thoughts on general squad rotation and who needs to be getting minutes at the moment?
I think it comes with managerial experience, doesn't it? Because he's as good as he seems like such a nice guy, and he seems like he puts so much time and effort of his life into the club, and I think you can't knock him for that. But while it might be quite unfair to knock him for his lack of experience, because he can't control it, obviously he's got to get experience somewhere. I just think rotation comes with experience, doesn't it? So yeah, I'd like to see, maybe not against Bournemouth because it is such a huge game, but maybe we've got Bournemouth and we've got, is it Nottingham Forest next? No, Wickham then Nottingham, then we've got Cardiff.
Nottingham Forest, yeah.
Maybe we should play full strength against Bournemouth, maybe rotate against Wickham quite a bit, because I know we drew to them last time, but that was because we were playing like defensive football against bottom of the league. So maybe rotate quite heavily maybe against Wickham, and then maybe just a little bit against Nottingham, and then go at Cardiff, because Cardiff look threatening at the moment. Obviously, they're just snuck into the playoffs as well. So yeah, I do think
that's it. I mean, you say about Cardiff there, Finn. I mean, they're above Bournemouth in the table right now. So we think Bournemouth are playing well. Well, they're not playing well at the moment, but Bournemouth have quality of players at the club, and Cardiff are suddenly surging up the table on a good run of form. And you mentioned the Wickham game and how we should be resting a lot of players for that. I'd probably disagree with you because when we did play against Wickham last time, it was a really, really difficult game for us, I thought. And even people like Akin Fenwa, who, is 38 years old, he's not very mobile. He still caused us problems. So I don't think you can underestimate any team in the Championship at the moment. But look, I do see where you're coming from, and we do need to rotate the squad a bit more. Rudy is saying, I think we need to rest a few players for the game against Bournemouth. So you're kind of going against what Finn said, because Finn would rather play full strength against Bournemouth. Will Ingold saying, would it work with Paritza and João Pedro up front? So as a front two, Paritza as a target man and João Pedro getting in behind. What's your thoughts on that, Finn? Because we have been playing the 4-3-3 system at the moment. And Will there is obviously suggesting a change of system for this game. Would you agree with Will there?
I think, in answer to his question, yeah, I think they would work up top together. But do I want to see it? Not a chance. There's no way you can change the 4-3-3 right now. It's working so well. There's no way you can change it. So, yeah, I think they would work because I think Paritza offers the height and the target man in the box while being a bit more mobile as well. I think João Pedro is very mixed, like not a mixed bag, but like a very well-rounded striker. So I think, yeah, it would work, but I don't want to see it.
Cormac saying he's going with Finn there. So you got a fan there, Finn, anyway.
Yes.
And by the way, Cormac just said earlier in the chat that he did score a bicycle kick with João Pedro on FIFA. So that's always good to see, Cormac. Congratulations. I hope you won the FIFA game. And yeah, it's going to be a really, really interesting game. Obviously, we've discussed the team selection, Xisco's rotation, Bournemouth's form. In terms of your starting 11, Finn, do you want to go through that quickly with me now? Because you've obviously suggested we play quite full strength against Bournemouth. Is there a couple of changes you would potentially make in there that you'd like to see? What would your back four be first for the game? So obviously Daniel Bachmann is nailed on to start.
I want Kiko. Obviously, I can't see anyone having a reason to drop Kiko. And then I'd want to see Serralta at centre back, but I want to see Truce drop because he's been shaky recently. I thought he's not a bad ball playing defender, but he just is the opposite of what we need at the moment. Every time he gets the ball, I say to myself, "Don't boot it, don't boot it." Every time he gets the ball, he just gets the ball and just hoofs it like he's looking for a Deeney, but there's no Deeney up there, so it's not going to work. So I'd go with maybe I'd start Wilmot because I feel it's completely.
So you're saying you'd start Wilmot ahead of Truce Kong?
Yeah. And then I'd stick with Messina because I know he had a bad game against Blackburn, but everyone does, and I think he might have been rushed back to full fitness. Rushed back to get full games because he's not fully fit. I think that's clear to see because you look at some of the decisions he's making and they're not good ones. So I'd stick with him for another game, but if he has another bad game, maybe give Lazar a chance against Forest and Wickham.
Yeah, I think it's interesting you pointed out Schuster, Kong and Messina there because I also agree with you that the last couple of games they haven't performed up to the levels that they really should be, especially Messina. I thought, especially against Blackburn, I thought he was really poor. And Finn, comparing Messina and Sema on the left to Kiko and Sarr on the right, they're worlds apart, aren't they? Because the partnership that Kiko and Sarr have is absolutely superb, and Messina and Sema at the moment, they. Sorry, Jesus.
That's what I was laughing at. I'm happy to get that wrong. I'm happy it wasn't 0-0, all right? Leave me alone.
And that's because Finn got the score prediction right against Derby, but he did get it wrong against Blackburn. So that is quite a funny comment, Jesus. Thank you. So what were we talking about? Kiko, Sarr, Messina and Sema. Is that a problem that we've got there, Finn? That the partnership. So I keep looking at the Jesus comment. I can't stop laughing. God, you've set me off now, Jesus. Composure. Finn.
Yes.
Messina, Sema, Kiko, and Feminir. Kiko and Sarr. I'm lost. I've lost my composure. Oh no. Finn, you take it from here. Does the partnership between Sema and Messina need to be better?
I think I don't think it's a problem. I think because Kiko and Sa have Kiko and Sa have such a good understanding between each other. I think it makes anyone on the other side is going to look inferior because Sa and Kiko are just so good, and I think Messina and Sema aren't bad, but they're not as good as Kiko and Sa, obviously. So yeah, I don't think it's a problem, but if it was, it could be better.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think it's like a problem as in, they can't help us win games. I just think that a lot of our play is focused down that right-hand side. I think sometimes that left-hand side does leave a lot to be desired. In terms of team selection, Finn, you've discussed your back four. Moving into the midfield, we've kind of touched on that a bit already. Dan Gosling, Chalobah, you've said you'd like to see against Bournemouth. What would your midfield three be against Bournemouth?
I'd go back to Cleverley, Chalobah and Hughes, because Chalobah has to come in to do the ugly stuff, like many people have said before and about other games. I think he's probably the only ugly midfielder we've got that's willing to put in the strong challenges and put his body around. And I think that's only something we've seen this season, but it is good to see. And yeah, I'd stick with Cleverley because of his work rate, and we need a captain.
And of course, you love Tom Cleverley, don't you?
I do love Tom Cleverley. And I think Will Hughes makes everyone around him play better. So I think he's one of them players that if you see him come onto the pitch, you're gonna think, oh yes, we've got Will Hughes. I'm gonna play like Prime Iniesta now. So I think Hughes is undroppable as well. I think there's a couple of undroppable players. I think we got Hughes, Serralta, and Kiko are probably all undroppable. So yeah, I'd go with Hughes, Cleverley, and Chalobah, with Hughes sat just behind Chalobah and Cleverley, as we've seen in the previous couple of weeks.
And Finn, you mentioned Tom Cleverley there. I put out a tweet about an hour and a half ago, and I put this to everyone watching at the moment as well. So let me know in chat what your thoughts on this are. What your thoughts on this is that I put out a tweet saying, is Tom Cleverley a contender for player of the season? Now, I'd like to put that to you, Finn. You're nodding your head straight away. Why is Tom Cleverley a contender for player of the season? Because I thought at the start of the season, he was putting in quite mixed performances. Not terrible, but just average. But I feel that lately, especially, he's really stepped up his game to where he's probably one of our best players in the team at the moment. So why for you is Tom Cleverley a contender for player of the season?
I think you're never going to... I've said this so many times in your live streams and on my Instagram account alone, but I think you're never going to get anywhere in football without some sort of passion. You look at Arsenal at the moment, where's their passion? Where's their club captain that wants to win, that wants to put in the strong challenges? You've got to have someone like that. So yeah, I think he's getting on a bit, but I think you look at him and you think he's 21, not 31. Because the amount of he just simply doesn't stop running. So yeah, I think he's a contender. I don't think he'll win it. I think Kiko will win it. But I think yes, he is a contender. And yeah, I've seen that comment as well. That effort is so passionate. Yeah, I completely agree with that.
Good. He agrees. You will. Jesus has left a comment. Bournemouth dropping points is good for us because they might be disappointing where we can take advantage. With our mindset, but they can also play with everything. They've got to be back on playoffs. A couple of spelling errors there, but I kind of gathered what you said, Jesus, that Bournemouth dropping points is obviously good for us. But, as we said earlier, Bournemouth do have Premier League quality players. We went through that list of names. Jack Wilshere, David Brooks, obviously he's injured, as Finn said, but Shane Long, Dan Juma, lots of players in there who could be playing for sides in the Premier League who are at Bournemouth at the moment, and yeah, it's going to be a real challenge. Before we go, Finn, obviously let's just finish up with your preferred 11. We're moving on to the front three now. As we said earlier, that all of the front three did score against Blackburn. Sema, Pedro, Sarr. Do you keep it the same, or do you add in a Peritza, a Zinkernagel? What are your thoughts on how the front three should set up, Finn?
I think we've got to keep it. Possibly the only change I wouldn't like to see, but I wouldn't mind is probably Zinkernagel coming in for Sema, because I think Sema's looked not lost, but he hasn't been himself in the past couple of games, has he? I know he's bagged 3 goals in like 2 weeks or something, but I don't think he's been himself. So maybe, yeah, probably Zinkernagel for Sema, Zhao up top, and then Sarr on the right.
Yeah, I think Sarr and Pedro at the moment are really undroppable. So absolutely agree with you there, Finn. It's time for the good part of the show where we get Finn's and my score prediction. Finn has been right once and wrong once. So can you make it third time lucky and get this score prediction right, Finn? We are playing Bournemouth. It is another away game. We're starting to make our away form a bit better lately. We have picked up a few good results away from home. How do you think this is going to pan out, and what is your score prediction for the game, Finn?
I think it's going to be another cagey affair. Probably come down to the last 10 minutes. I reckon it'll be 0-0 till quite late in the game, and then not sure from which side, but I think there'll be a late goal. And I think at the moment the more likely candidates are Watford, but I could see Bournemouth picking up a couple of points, maybe all 3, maybe just 1. But yeah, I think I'll go for 1-0 Watford.
1-0 Watford. Like the sound of that. Let me know your score predictions in the comments below. And yeah, I kind of agree with Finn. I think it is going to be a close game. I think it's actually going to be closer than we expect. You know, Bournemouth are just outside the playoffs at the moment, whereas Watford are sitting in 3rd place. But I think it's going to be a lot closer than we expect. And I think I'm actually going to agree with Finn today. And I'm also going to go with a very, very close 1-0 to Watford. Will has gone with a 3-0 win. That's very optimistic. Will really like that. He's saying, I think 3-0, it'll be tough, but we can take our chances and Bournemouth won't take theirs. Jesus is saying Dan Gosling to score. That would be great, Jesus. Rub it in their faces. That's what we like to see. And Cormac is going with a 2-1 to Watford. So yeah, very, very positive there in the comments. Positive from you, Finn, and positive from me. That is what we like to see. Finn, where can everybody find you on social media?
Watford FC 2021 on Instagram, and I don't have any others because I can't figure it out.
You can find the link to Finn's Watford page in the description to this video. And once again, Finn, thank you very much for coming on. I really do appreciate it. Thank you to everyone in the comments and for being here and watching along with us as well. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, we will catch you after the Bournemouth game for some reaction on the channel from various Watford fans, and we'll be giving you our thoughts on the game. So again, thank you very, very much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.